What's up, Scouters? To me, I feel like the East Asian region is both stable and unstable at the same time. Economically speaking, yes, the region has seen some incredible developments over the past few years, but from time to time, the tension between these countries can be extremely unstable. And if you're from the East Asian region, or you're familiar with what has happened over the last century or so, you probably know what I'm talking about. And right now, in July of 2019, the tension between Korea and Japan is at an unstable for sure. In this episode of Why Korea, I'll explain what has happened over the few weeks between Korea and Japan, and why some K-nets seem to be extremely angry at Japanese K-pop members. On July 4th of 2019, the Japanese government has announced that it will be restricting the free export on 3 items to Korea. So these 3 items are 1. Fluorine polyimide, 2. Resist, 3. Etching gas. And many of you watching this video right now are probably like, what the hell are those? These are actually 3 crucial ingredients needed by semiconductor companies. And hint hint, the semiconductor industry is extremely important to Korea's economy. With this new policy, Japanese companies willing to export these 3 items to Korea must get approval from the Japanese government on contract basis. And this approval process can take up to about 90 days and longer if the Japanese government feels like they need more time. This means that many Korean semiconductor companies will have to perhaps suspend their production because they can't get all the necessary ingredients in time. And some experts are claiming that this is an economic pride war between Korea and Japan, in seeing who can last longer between Korea facing major losses in its major economic sector and Japan, who may potentially face damages on companies that export these semiconductor ingredients to Korean companies, and then with the companies that import these semiconductor products made by Korean companies after production. And at this point, you have to note that the governments in this East Asian region are notorious for provoking people's hatred against one another as a mean of populism to boost political dominance. The Korean government, and I won't lie, surely uses Japan as a scapegoat to escape some negative public opinions. And coincidentally, the elections in Japan are approaching right now. But this channel isn't really about politics, so I won't go too much deeper into the situation. So, as a retaliation to Japan's recent trade restrictions, some K-nets have started a movement where they boycott traveling to Japan and purchasing goods from Japanese brands. But in reality, if you can read Korean and go around some Korean sites, I'm pretty sure you can tell that this is extremely political. The people participating in the movement are supporters of the current progressive government led by President Moon Jae-in, and maybe a small percentage of people who are completely unrelated with politics. And then the people who are criticizing this movement and posting pictures like this are mostly people who support the Conservative Party. But regardless of the large number of opposition from the supporters of the Conservative Party, many Japanese brands are seeing significant decreases in sales over the last few weeks. For example, Japanese beer brands have seen a 19.4% decrease, and Uniqlo, a popular Japanese fashion brand, roughly mentioned that they've seen approximately a 30% decrease in sales. And on top of that, the number of Korean travelers traveling to Japan have gone down about 30% as well. And I'll tell you straight up, I don't particularly think this movement is healthy, and I don't like when politicians use the well-being of the relationship of these two countries as a scapegoat for political dominance. But as for boycotting, it's a thing that I can't stop consumers from doing. And for example, when I used to live in the US, I remember some Americans boycotting New Balance online and posting pictures of themselves burning their New Balance shoes after a representative of New Balance made a pro-Trump comment. And right now, basically, it's the same thing. Whatever the reason is, if you don't feel comfortable purchasing goods from a certain brand, so be it. Nobody can really tell you to do otherwise. But my opinion is that this movement should stop here. It should not spread like wildfire to immigrants from Japan or Japanese members of K-pop groups. But some people who have no clue about the context of this entire situation or this movement have started asking online for Japanese members of K-pop groups like Twice and IZ*ONE to be removed. IZ*ONE? Is that how they pronounce it in English? IZ*ONE? IZ*ONE? Now note that this is only a fraction of the people who are participating in the movement. But still, with the tensions between the two countries rising, it's expected that Japanese members in the K-pop industry like Sana or Mina of Twice are going to have to face some hatred comments from some radical K-nets. On 11th of July, JYP announced that Twice's Mina is struggling with sudden extreme anxiety and insecurity toward performing on stage after seeing many malicious comments. And honestly, as a Korean, I feel so bad for these Japanese members. And yeah, of course, as a Korean, I get angry when I see the war crimes committed by the Japanese soldiers and the government in the past, and the racist movements that are currently ongoing in Japan. But I think this should be a problem between the racist Japanese and the racist Koreans, and doesn't have to spread to people who support the well-being of the relationship between Korea and Japan, and obviously to people who currently live and work in Korea, especially these Japanese artists who are doing nothing more than providing fans with some good music. And honestly, why would you want to attack them? They're probably, if not the least racist Japanese people against us, since they live in Korea where 95% of people are Koreans. Anyhow, if you found this interesting, like this video and subscribe to my channel for more interesting information on Korea and K-pop news. Oh, and guys, if you have questions about Korea you want answered on the upcoming Why Korea episodes, don't forget to leave your questions in the comment section below. And if I see an interesting one, I'll try to get to it as soon as possible. So anyhow, until then, see you next time.